The history of the original Yoruba Kingdom of Lagos is as fascinating as what became of the region after its destruction. Who were the original settlers in the Kingdom of Lagos? What was their connection to the Benin Kingdom? And did the slave trade really lead to the final destruction? Follow me as I look at how a little fishing village became a trading hub desired by everyone during the age of exploration. Please help me make more videos by simply clicking the like button. Thank you. The Kingdom of Lagos was a collection of settlements separated by creeks, fringing the southwest mouth of what is now known as the Lagos Lagoon, in southwestern region of present-day Nigeria. As with many other African kingdoms, the earliest information about Lagos Kingdom is from oral history. Not much can be said about the region when it comes to archaeological discoveries. A 2007 dig in the vicinity of the Lekki Peninsula, where pottery shards, stone tools, and evidence of early human habitation were unearthed, tentatively suggests that there was a settlement in the area thousands of years ago. But we are yet to get published evidence of a detailed timeline or radiocarbon dating from the dig, so our history of the Kingdom of Lagos must necessarily rely on the established oral tradition of its origin. In the tradition of Yoruba kingdoms, Lagos traces its ancestry to the Kingdom of Ife. Thus, the founder of the settlements that would be referred to as Eko was Ogunfunminire, a grandson of Oduduwa, the progenitor of the Yoruba people. In the early 15th century, Ogunfunminire was said to have left Ife Kingdom after the death of his father, Olofin Okambi. Ogunfunminire and the people with him settled along Ogun River, in a place they named Isheri, a community now located on the border between Lagos and Ogun states, and they took on the name Awori. In the mid-15th century, the Awori people left Isheri to get away from a war raging in the Yoruba hinterland. They moved southward to settle at Ebute Metta, a fishing village on the mainland. From here, Ogunfunminire ruled over all the communities subsequently founded by the Aworis. Though the Aworis met some people in the region, these were mostly migrant fishermen. So the Awori people became the first settlers in Lagos. Ogunfunminire acquired the title Olorfin, and his 12 children became the Idejo, the white-capped chiefs of Lagos. Till this day, the Idejos still own a lot of the land in Lagos and are the custodians of Lagos's oral history. Because the mainland was still subject to attacks by warring kingdoms from the hinterland, Aromire, one of the Idejo, was the first to move from Ebute Metta to Ido Island, and later across the water to the relative security of what is now Lagos Island. Other Idejo subsequently moved to establish villages in present-day Lagos and Victoria Islands. Fishing was the main occupation of the inhabitants of the villages, but they also hunted, farmed, and traded. It's recorded that from the 15th century, the Aworis and the neighboring Yoruba tribe of the Igbados met at Ido waterfront to trade. The first known written reference to the Lagos Kingdom region was in a 15th century Portuguese map that featured the lagoon but did not indicate there was any settlement in the area. In 1485, a Portuguese visitor to the kingdom reported that there is no trade in this country nor anything from which one can make a profit. The region was therefore of little importance to the Portuguese traders, who established a presence nearby to trade with the Ijebus, another Yoruba tribe, and further along the coast they established relations with the Benin Kingdom. But it is safe to say that the European explorers' lack of knowledge about the Lagos area and its inhabitants, at the time, was due to the difficulty in gaining access to the area. One of the voyagers to the coast at that time complained about the heavens high breakers that shut off the entrance to the lagoon and rendered the mainland unapproachable. Now we come to the era of the Benin Kingdom ascendancy. By the 13th century, the Edo people to the east of Lagos had forged a powerful kingdom in Benin City. And by the 16th century, it dominated trade with the Europeans and was so pervasive that European cartographers named the coastline to its south the Bight of Benin. In the late 16th century, the Oba of Benin sent war canoes to attack the Awori people at the Ido settlement in an effort to gain control of the region. According to some accounts, Benin Kingdom's primary target was not Lagos, but its location was important to cutting off the Ijebus from trading with the Europeans. The region also provided a clear route to taking over the very profitable Dahomey port. Although the attacks on Ido were repulsed successfully, the Benis established a military camp on the outskirts of Lagos Island. It seems around the time the region had become widely known as Iko to the indigenes. This name would later reflect in a mid-17th century map by Dutch cartographers, which referred to the Lagos Island area as Ichoo definitely an attempt to spell echo. Some say that the name Echo comes from the Bini word for war camp, but this has been disputed by historians, who claim Echo is an adaptation of the Yoruba word Ereko, which means farmstead. Not long after settling in their camp on the island, the Benin military commanders mingled with the community and established a ceremonial meeting of the heads of the local communities. There are several conflicting versions of what happened next, but it seems by the mid-17th century, Lagos had somehow become an outpost of the Benin Kingdom, or at least it is being regarded as a tributary of Benin Kingdom by the Europeans. The first recognizable viceroy was Ashipa, an Awori warrior. Ashipa is said to have gained the position when he escorted the body of one of the original Bini war leaders back to Benin for burial, and so impressed the Oba of Benin that the Oba appointed him to oversee the communities in Lagos and exact tribute from them. Shortly thereafter, the viceroys of Lagos took on the title of Oba, like the Benis. The ownership of the land in Lagos remained securely in the hands of the Adejo, and the Adejo would eventually take over the Obaship. The Kingdom of Lagos gained considerable importance from its role as the outpost of Benin in the lagoon area. It became a center of commercial activities, but Benin dominance did not last long in the region. By the late 17th century, maps refer to the general area occupied by the kingdom as Lago de Kuramo, and shortly thereafter, the whole area was being referred to as Lagos, probably adapted from the word lago, meaning lake in Portuguese. In the second half of the 18th century, under the reign of Oba Akinsemoyin, the Kingdom of Lagos made a deal with Portuguese traders to advance the development of the region as a slave port and also open it up to a wider range of trade. Because of this, the Oba of Lagos gained an independent source of wealth that would alter the balance of power between him and the Benin monarchy. This arrangement with the Portuguese was timely because by this period, Africa had become firmly identified in the Western mind as the source of slave labor for the New World plantations. And Lagos, due to its strategic location on the coast to the south of a number of Nigeria's most prosperous kingdoms, linking them to the European merchants, became a crucial center, further cementing Lagos's importance in the whole trade in slaves was the unrest caused by the ambitions of the warrior kingdom of Dahomey to its west. Dahomey's wars disrupted trade routes, and traders and refugees fled towards Lagos. Many foreign slave traders moved away from the Dahomey region to establish their slave factories in Badagry, Ife, and other Lagos ports. The Portuguese were initially the main movers of the Atlantic trade, but by the 18th century, the British had eclipsed them. As the volume of the slave trade increased, Portuguese, English, Dutch, French, and other merchants opened slave factories along the Bight of Benin to facilitate the trade in humans. By the late 18th century, the focus of the slave trade had switched totally to Lagos. The city had been transformed from a site of regional trade to a major international port, linking West Africa's hinterland to the Atlantic world. The sovereignty of the Benin Kingdom over Lagos had also ceased. In the opening years of the 19th century, Lagos was said to have a growing population of about 5,000, with a small international merchant community living off slavery and other forms of trade. Then came the abolition of the slave trade by the British in 1807. Although it should be noted that following the French Revolution, the French were the first to abolish slavery in 1793 and to also start a campaign against West African slave trade. Unfortunately, Napoleon reimposed the trade about a decade later. Following the British abolition 1807, the Royal Navy West Africa Squadron was established and it mounted pressure on Lagos to stop the slave trade. It was around this time that the British intervened in the fight between two princes for the throne of Lagos in a totally philanthropic desire to end the inhumane slave trade and extend civilization to Lagos. Just kidding. Of course, they wanted undisturbed access to control the trade in palm oil, textiles, and other local products that were now in demand in Europe due to industrialization. The fight between Oba Akitoye and Oba Kosoko gave them the excuse to take over. In 1841, Akitoye ascended the throne as the Oba of Lagos, but his fiery nephew, Kosoko, contended that the throne was rightfully his own. Their rivalry boiled over in 1846, and Kosoko staged a successful coup, forcing Akitoye to flee from Lagos. Akitoye found refuge in Abeokuta, nursing his wounds and plotting his return. That's when he turned to the unlikeliest of allies, the British. Akitoye moved to Badagry, where he offered the British a deal in which he asked them to help him reclaim the throne, and in return, he promised to abolish the slave trade in Lagos. The British, seeing an opportunity to expand their influence in the region, eagerly agreed. The British branded Kosoko as the arch-perpetrator of the slave trade and campaigned that he must be forcefully removed from the throne because of this. The first attempt to depose Kosoko in November 1851 was a failure. Lagos was much better defended than expected. Kosoko had fortified Lagos with a network of barricades and armed his warriors with muskets and cannons. But on Christmas Day in 1851, the British warship HMS Bloodhound, reinforced by 2 other warships and 21 smaller armed boats, attacked Lagos. For 2 days, they bombarded the kingdom with cannon fire. Smoke and flames engulfed the city as the defenders fought valiantly but in vain. On December 27, Kosoko's forces were defeated and the warrior king fled into exile. With Kosoko gone, Akitoye was restored to the throne. He wasted no time signing a treaty with the British, officially abolishing the slave trade in Lagos. But get this, the treaty also declared Lagos a free port. From this point, the independence of Lagos existed on paper only. In reality, Akitoye was not restored to the same Kingdom of Lagos. The kingdom was totally destroyed by the bombing, and half of the population had fled with Kosoko. There was therefore a need to repopulate. So the influx of returned slaves, especially the Sierra Leonean Creoles and the Brazilians, increased dramatically. The population of the resident British administrators, missionaries, businessmen, and other Europeans also grew. In July 1861, 10 years after the bombing, during the reign of Obadosomu, Akitoye's son, when the British anchored their warship within firing range of the Oba's palace and told Obadosomu to sign a treaty surrendering Lagos to the Queen of England, it was a done deal. The treaty gave Dosomu a pension and ceremonial respect, but real power shifted totally to the British governor. That was the end of the Kingdom of Lagos. It became a British crown colony and the gateway for British expansion into present-day Nigeria. Today, Lagos is a megacity with a population of over 20 million, and it's one of the fastest growing urban centers in the world. If you want to know more about another fascinating Nigerian kingdom from that period, watch this video next. Thanks for watching.